Hello, welcome to the Talking Michigan Transportation Podcast. I'm Jeff Cranston. Following up on last week's installment where I highlighted a couple of big projects that MDOT crews completed over the last few weeks, I am today highlighting a couple of others with a little bit of geographic spread. First, I talked to the Elmwood Township Supervisor, Jeff Shaw, about a roundabout at M72 and M22, traditionally a signaled intersection just outside Traverse City. Jeff was very supportive of converting that into a roundabout and brought a lot of people on board with his advocacy and his support, and helped the department by organizing an event to celebrate the completion. Later, I spoke with Art Green, who is the Transportation Service Center Manager in Grand Rapids for MDOT, about the completion of a project to replace the Fruit Ridge Avenue Bridge over I-96 in Walker, west of Grand Rapids. Another project that enjoyed a lot of community support, City of Walker officials, state elected officials, business leaders. There's a lot of industry in that area, and it's going to help both commercial traffic and commuter traffic, and he had a lot of good things to say about that. So I hope you enjoy the conversations. So before I talk to Jeff Shaw about the project and what it means to him and to the residents of his township, let's hear a little bit of what was said at the celebration from Director Wieferich of MDOT and also from former U.S. DOT Secretary Pete Buttigieg.
Now we're able to take a look at the corridor and the improvements that have been made and know how much of a benefit this is going to be for the people that motor through here, that bike through here, that walk through here. It's just an amazing project.
To see this many things come together in a single vision, a roundabout that can, I know folks grumble about roundabouts, but a well-placed roundabout can reduce injury crashes by 80% or more. I want to commend MDOT, the contractors, and above all, the workers who, in partnership with this community, made sure that this was a success.
So as promised, I'm here with Jeff Shaw, who is the supervisor of Elmwood Township in Leelanau County, just outside of Traverse City. Lots going on there in terms of commerce and people moving in all the time. Very busy place. Jeff was extremely supportive and helpful in helping this roundabout at M72 and M22 come together. It was a traditional signaled intersection. We know this is going to be better for traffic movement, better for safety, certainly better for cyclists and pedestrians, all kinds of good things. He was also helpful in putting together an event to celebrate it a couple of weeks ago. So Jeff, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Jeff.
So talk about why this project was important to you and why you were so enthusiastic about it from the start.
Right. Well, this is my 9th year as supervisor, so the beginning of the 10th, actually, I guess. So in 2016, when I became supervisor in Elmwood Township, at the first meeting, one of the things that I brought up to the board was that we needed a safe crossing in M22. If you're familiar with our area, there's parking on the west side of M22, and everybody wants to use the east side where the lake and the beaches and the harbors and the marinas and the restaurants, many of the restaurants are on that east side. So, we have a huge amount of people that spend their summers here. They come here to vacation. Millions of people come to the Traverse City area, including Elmwood Township, which is the gateway to Leelanau County. And Leelanau County is an incredibly popular place to vacation. So we have thousands of cars a day and people trying to get across the road. So I actually said during that first meeting that we needed some sort of sidewalks and crosswalks and a trail. And one of the board members actually said live and on camera, well, we don't need sidewalks down there. I've never seen anybody walking. My response was, of course, that's because there's no sidewalks. 6, 7, 8 years ago, Rick Liptek, who was the director for this region at the time, and I sat down and started talking about just that. And, for the past several years, I have said to people, imagine being able to leave Traverse City and come all the way to Cherry Bend Road, which is the only stoplight in Leelanau County is at Cherry Bend Road. and never have to cross a road. And that's what this has accomplished. So the non-motorized transportation part is incredibly important to me from a safety standpoint. As far as the roundabout goes, since the roundabout's opened, there has not been a traffic backup. And you can go through there at the busy time, 8 in the morning, 5 in the afternoon, and not have to slow down, not have to, wait in line like it was when there was a stoplight there. So it's been an awesome project. The MDOT crew up here, were great to work with. The contractors were awesome to work with, and we appreciate it immensely.
So is it fair to say that you and Rick Liptak, the former MDOT TSC manager there in Traverse City, hatched this at the world famous Apache Trout Grill? Is that right?
I see it that way. We sat down and chatted, and actually, interestingly, I had gone door to door to the businesses here in Graylickville, in Elmwood Township, along the corridor, and gotten them 61% of them to sign a petition to create a special assessment district to get sidewalks. And a couple of weeks prior to the meeting that I was going to introduce that to the board, Rick called me and we sat down and hatched this idea. So
yeah. He deserves a lot of credit. So does Dan Wagner, who picked up the reins as the TSC manager now, and
for sure.
Other people.
Yes,
lots of other people there. That's great. So far, you're seeing people have adapted to it. They always do. There's always some consternation about a roundabout that goes in anywhere, and people are surprised at how well it works out after it's in there. So that's what you're seeing, it sounds like.
Oh, for sure. And, the day that the paving was done on the trail, as soon as they took the cones down, there were people on it. And I use it every day on my bike, or I run every day. And there's always people on that trail now. And I can't wait till next summer where it's going to be just full of people.
Yeah, that's where we'll find out how it's really working out for sure.
Yeah.
So we get into the summer season. But no, that's great. I've really appreciated your support, both in emceeing an event that we had back in the spring to kick it off, and what was a kind of rainy, blustery day. This time was different. It was not warm, but we had rainbows, which was kind of an omen, I think. I hope.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So going forward, talk about a little bit about what these corridors mean. Well, 72 obviously goes in a different direction, but M22 very important to your township and to the other communities as you go up the lakeshore. What do you see in terms of growth? I mean, it sounds like you're braced for and anticipating more, right?
Well, we are the gateway to Leelanau County, and we are the main transportation lane that people use to enter the county. Everybody wants to stay along the lake because it's a beautiful drive. So, we're the bottleneck in the funnel, as we've referred to it in the past.
That's good.
Every house, every business, every person that moves into Leelanau County ends up traveling through Elmwood Township. So, we have had people that were concerned about growth within Elmwood Township and how that affected the traffic. But what some people didn't understand is it's everything north of us. Those people, have to funnel through us. And so having this roundabout and having the curb and gutter and the safe trails, it's huge to us. It will totally transform the corridor. It already has, in some areas, it was kind of an industrial looking area. We already have marinas being planned, and the Freshwater Research and Innovation Center, which is going to be a $30 million building. They've started construction. It's going to totally transform our corridor into a really quite a destination.
Yeah, that's exciting too.
Yeah.
If there's any doubt how much people love M22, I mean, there's been some copycats with some other roads now being featured in bumper stickers and other shirts and things, but nothing comes close to M22, and it's not just in Michigan. You actually see it outside of Michigan. So
for sure.
Plenty of evidence of the popularity of that road now. Well, thanks, sure. Jeff. Thanks for all your support on this, and for talking about it a little bit and sharing your enthusiasm for the project.
You bet. Thank you, Jeff. And again, thanks to MDOT for everything you guys did out here. It was really a great project. We're thrilled with it. The contractors, the TSC team, everybody. So thank you.
Yeah, it's nice when the collaboration works.
We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Know before you go. Head on over to MyDrive to check out the latest on road construction and possible delays along your route. For a detailed map, head over to michigan.gov/drive.
So again, before I talk to Art, let's hear a little sound from that day. In this case, it will be Mayor Gary Carey of Walker talking about the project.
Today we celebrate not just a new bridge, but the journey it took to get here. Projects like this don't happen overnight. They take vision, persistence, partnership, and a shared belief that our infrastructure is worth investing in.
So again, as promised, I'm with Art Green, who is the Grand Rapids Transportation Service Center manager. Art has been involved in a lot of projects in the greater Grand Rapids area over the years, but not many probably took as much patience as this one. We never knew if the funding would ever arrive. Luckily, some state lawmakers got on board, got their colleagues on board to come up with some special grant funds to enable it. And it's a really exciting project for a lot of reasons. I think mostly that day there was a lot of discussion about the non-motorized components and the connections that it creates between some really popular trails. So Art, talk a little bit about this I-96 Fruit Ridge Bridge and what it meant to you to finally see it come to fruition.
Sure, Jeff. Appreciate you having me on today to talk about this and kind of celebrate a little bit more the project and what it's going to mean for the area to have a more modern function and operation there at Fruit Ridge and the non-motorized was a big connection and a big lift to connect miles and miles and miles of trails, both north, south, and east, west. That have been a little bit truncated, in that Walker area. So that was definitely a huge improvement from a network perspective for the non-motorized component in the greater West Michigan area. So it did accomplish that. That's big by itself. Not only did it do that, though, it did replace a bridge and interchange that was functionally obsolete. And I guess what I mean by that is it just really the interchange design had ramps that kind of ended into local streets rather than conventional, interchange operation type scenarios. So a lot of conflict in how to operate that, as you can imagine, between 1961 when that bridge originally opened and that interchange really opened to today. Traffic and traffic patterns, as well as growth and development, have changed quite a bit, making the operation of the interchange very challenging. Before we were able to widen that, went from basically a 26-foot wide structure to a 99-foot wide structure. And that's not necessarily just looking at completely future, but it's really looking at, bringing that interchange and that bridge up to, some of the safety and operational values and looking at a little bit of how operationally different we are today than we were back in, early 1960s.
So I'm guessing, not that you were around on Earth, let alone, growing up in the Upper Peninsula, that was all cornfields when that was built in the early 60s.
Yeah, I mean, much of the I-96 freeway was certainly that, and that whole freeway was constructed again from historical purposes. Yeah, because I did miss 1961 by 9 years on the planet, so I not around. I definitely was not around, and certainly not in the West Michigan at that time. But what I can tell you from the history, yes, a lot of the 96 freeway was going through rather forest area or farm type environments, and certainly was not something that at this point here at Fruit Ridge, it connected some county primary roads. And, if you look at those today, this is another thing that, we talked about, not only with our city partners at the city of Walker, but also with our county partners, because, they do help us with a maintenance and operation of the system. But that, Fruit Ridge is a county road when you get north of the city, and goes for miles and miles and miles to the north. And as a parallel route to our M37, which is Alpine Avenue, just to the east. And naturally, when the area grows, you're going to see, those parallel routes starting to grow with the major routes. And the widening and the operational improvement here is going to pay dividends for many, many years to come.
Yeah, nobody could have envisioned that what the city of Walker was going to be so successful at, and that was building industrial parks right near that interchange and creating, all kinds of jobs and commerce, not just the Meyer headquarter or Irwin Seating, but some smaller companies that are headquartered there. It's an incredibly busy area now, and what you've done is going to serve those businesses, but also serve the commuters and the cyclists and other users that we talked about. Talk about some of the challenges in this project and getting it over the finish line.
Yeah, this project I think was a little bit challenging from the planning side. Just looking at operations, what does this interchange need to be? 3 Mile Road is very, very close to the freeway. Very, very busy corridor. A lot of industrial commercial use on 3 Mile. And then, of course, on the north side of the road where the Northridge Industrial Park comes in, which is one of the biggest drivers for the immediate need for expansion for the interchange as well as the non-motorized use, is trying to figure out that traffic puzzle and how are we going to solve that. So we knew the interchange design had to change to align to some of the ramps that are out there a bit better. Improve, the controls out there, which meant not only improving the existing signals, but maybe adding a couple more for the interchange operation and to serve better some of the land use that's already transitioned and changed. We had a few partners involved that we normally have, but in this location, hadn't been looked at or changed in quite some time. So with the trail, we had to work with the rail company, to accomplish some, trail crossing and project, relative work, a lot of drainage changes, improvements there, creating and replacing some natural value that we were needing to do as mitigation when we build new ramps and kind of, original ground. We have to kind of replace that environmental value. And we've done that with some wetland type mitigation with the project as well. And of course, we solved some difficult decisions on how this should be built. I mean, should we put back a big long bridge, the kind of replacing the skinnier bridge that was there, or should we look at a two-structure design that maybe helped us with some grades some more and made some choices to use steel beams instead of concrete beams and lots of things like that with this job that we certainly tussled around with. But I think in the end we come up with the best economic and asset friendly design for now, and of course, well into the future, looking at, how we might maintain the interchange and the operation.
Have you had a chance to look at operations since it opened? Do you see some efficiencies that have already shown up?
Absolutely. There's not as much conflicts and understanding of how we use it. And the one example there is we used to have a loop ramp that brought traffic, from Fruit Ridge southbound to the freeway eastbound. That ramp was always a little bit in conflict with the entrance ramp, back to the eastbound direction up top on Fruit Ridge, because there is always this, we don't know which cars are going what and kind of trading spaces getting in and out of those ramps. And now that the ramps are built now and actually aligned for the the eastbound off and the eastbound on with a normal signal operation, you're seeing a lot more continuity. We certainly believe over time it's definitely going to be safer. We're going to be removing some of the odd sideswipe type crashes that we've seen. Similar function, the eastbound off ramp of 96 to Fruit Ridge used to actually exit and go onto 3 Mile Road versus onto Fruit Ridge like it does today with the new design. And that was just a short distance to the west of the 3 Mile and Fruit Ridge interchange, which caused a lot of conflict for folks that are trying to turn left out of that ramp. Was very difficult. And of course, for folks that are trying to turn left on the Fruit Ridge, always in conflict with those left turns and storing, to turn left onto Fruit Ridge from 3 Mile Road. So definitely seeing improvements there, a lot more continuity, a lot more understanding from the driver, because as you mentioned, this is a growing area with a lot of industrial use and commerce. You get a lot of new drivers. It's not always your same commuter folks, even though this does serve a huge community population. There's a lot of over the road trucks and things that are new to the area that are constantly back and forth serving, those businesses and things. And we want to have, driver intuitive type designs so they understand exactly how to operate those things and aren't causing conflicts themselves just because they, are unfamiliar.
Well, yeah, I mean, thinking in terms of young drivers, you've got a high school just a couple miles away.
Absolutely. So. Yep.
Well, thank you, Art. Congratulations again. It was a great celebration. It was a beautiful day. You even had the Kennewick Hills High School marching band there. I know Representative Glanville and Senator Huizinga were very excited about seeing this thing get over the finish line, and as well as the mayor of Walker and other local officials. So I think you and the team should feel really good about this one.
Yeah, we do. Thanks, Jeff. And our team's real happy to have things open and operating. And, our partners at the city of Walker are definitely, one in a million. They've come to the table and helped this project get over the finish line in a lot of different ways, simply by knowing their community, knowing what they need. And we're able to pair up our knowledge and asset, management for the interchange itself and definitely made a good project out of this.
Oh, yeah. You've had a series of mayors and city commissioners and engineers and others in the city of Walker that really, really get infrastructure and make for great collaboration. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Thanks again, Art.
Take care.
You can find show notes and more on Apple Podcasts or Buzzsprout. I also want to acknowledge the talented people who help make this a reality each week, starting with Randy Debler, who skillfully edits the audio, Jesse Ball, who proofs the content, Courtney Bates, who posts the podcast to various platforms, and Jackie Salinas, who transcribes the audio to make it accessible to all.